introduced to cover all segments of the market, because they were definitely trying to achieve a good, better, best pricing strategy. So they had phones, they had, well, in this case, the MP3 players at $400, and even down to, what is it now, $80? You can get, is it the Shuffle or the Nano?
Yeah.
So their household penetration level is very high. So we have to remember that there's some people that are innovators and they're willing to pay a high price to be one of the first, one of the early adopters. But then as you move through that adoption curve process, how do we get people to buy the product? What is it about the marketing mix that we could change to get them to buy the product? Products on the market for 2 years, 3 years, how do we get those late majority, as they're called? Right? This the fusion of technology model, this adoption curve model, has several segments. The innovators, the early adopters, the early majority, the late majority, and then we have to realize that there's some that won't adopt the product, the non-adopters. It's up to us to manage that process, to manage the rate of adoption. Doesn't manage itself, that would actually be pretty scary. We have to be proactive in managing that. We control that. That's why the model is so insightful, is because knowing, because people always say, but is it always going to play out that way? Well, I hope not. We have got to take control. We know that that's the way it would play out if we did nothing. The same with the product life cycle, which is also a bell curve. Intro, growth, maturity, decline, obsolescence, maybe revitalization. But we manage that process. We control how long our product stays in the growth stage. For how long are sales going to continue to grow? That's up to us as managers to develop a strategy that's going to sustain the period of sales growth. So it's encouraging to realize that we can manage the product life cycle. You probably heard about that a little bit in Business 50.2 and maybe some other classes. You know, you could take a whole course in product life cycle management. So as business people, the thing that's encouraging, if you will, is that we could manage the process. The process shouldn't be managing us. So we could influence it. But compare what they did with the iPod pricing strategy with the iPhone strategy. The iPhone is a skimming strategy. They introduced the product at a high price, and then they lowered the price over time in a planned way. It's not by chance. People think that, well, it's a knee-jerk reaction, or they weren't hitting their sales targets, they didn't sell as many as they thought at that price. If you have a skimming strategy in place, you've already anticipated what the competitors are going to do. You've already anticipated what's going to happen in the marketplace, and you've decided that on a certain date that you're going to reduce the price 10% or 20%, keeping in mind that in price-sensitive markets, that's going to increase your sales. So there's a difference between elastic markets and inelastic markets. Elastic markets are price sensitive. Inelastic markets are not sensitive to price. Like what? What would be a good example? What would be a good example of elastic market? Yeah, Penny?
Elastic?
Okay, inelastic, go ahead.
The drugs are, like, kind of pharmaceutical.
Right. That's a really good example. So like your blood pressure medication or your like if you have allergies, your allergy medication, It doesn't matter what they're going to do, double the price. So what, you stop taking your heart medication?
Oil.
Oil? I would say overall, I would say yes, that I would say it's inelastic. That most utilities, like whether it's oil or electric, are inelastic. That doesn't mean that that's without exception. Of course, you know, if Con Edison increased the cost of electricity, yeah, some people might run the AC for fewer hours. Some people might shut off all the lights in their house. But really, overall, right, if they raise the price of electric, what are you, I'm talking about your refrigerator? I mean, it is what it is, right? And the same with oil. What else? What are some other examples? What about markets that are elastic, that are price sensitive? When do you start buying less because the price is increased? Or conversely, when do you start buying more because the price has gone down? Because at the same time, right, with electricity, for example, right, if they lowered the price of electricity in this market 50%, what does that mean? You run home and turn on all the lights and what? You start running the air conditioner in the winter now? I mean, clothing you think is what, elastic or inelastic?
Elastic.
Yeah, elastic. Yeah, every time they have a 20% off sale at Macy's, right? People are shopping for those hoodies with the drawstrings that possibly could strangle youngsters.
Food products with substitutes.
Yes, interesting. So talk about that. So give us an example.
For example, certain kind of cookies. For example, if they have a sale on a certain type, and you go and use that one. If the product that you're using for, like maybe detergent or something, if the detergent that you're buying, the price went up, you will switch to another detergent.
Right, brand switchers. And there's some that regularly switch from one brand to another. They don't have any brand loyalty. They don't, like, if there's no Pepsi, they'll drink Coke. Or whichever one is on sale. Which grocery stores love to play that game, right? 1 week, Coke is on 2-liter Coke, 79 cents. Next week, 2-liter Pepsi, 79 cents, right? So they, some people would say, no, if there's no Pepsi, I won't drink Coke. Those people are brand loyal. Others, they just, whatever's on sale, that's what they'll buy. So we call them brand switchers. We need to understand that in the marketplace. We need to understand that there's some consumers that are brand switchers. We need to know who are brand loyals and who are brand switchers. We need to have an understanding of consumer behavior.